Hi there everybody, Z here coming at you live once more on this Saturday afternoon. In today's video we're going to be covering something a little bit more abstract. We're going to be covering the do's and don'ts of Google search. More specifically, we're going to be covering the white hat, grey hat, and black hat techniques that you should do, should avoid, and should definitely not do. Now, I'm not sure how long this video is going to be. In fact, that's why I have this open here. This is the Google Developers Fundamental SEO Starter Pack, which is something I highly recommend you need. It's super in depth. It's quite long, as you can see here, and there are multiple sections here to go through. This is really important because this gives you a good outline from Google itself on what it is you should and shouldn't be doing on the on-page side and off-page side of things. But in general, I thought this was just going to be a good way for us to discuss some general things you should and shouldn't do. Now, earlier I used the term white hat, grey hat, and black hat. Now, these terms are oftentimes thrown around in terms of just knowing, okay, this is okay, this is good, this is allowed. Um, that's white hats. Grey hats is this is kind of morally ambiguous, kind of flies in the face of some rules, but you could maybe get away with it. And then you get what is called black hat. All right, so this is going to be things you definitely shouldn't do. This is prohibited by TOS. If you're caught doing this, you will be punished. That's the kind of structure we're going for with these terms, right? White hat, grey hat, and black hat oftentimes refers to hacking. For example, I was a grey hat for quite a while. So it is generally, sorry, just something that we tend to use to denote, okay, allowed action, kind of allowed, kind of in your own moral gray space, and then definitely not allowed. So, what are some simple do's or don'ts? Okay, well, for one, Google has a very strict policy when it comes to the general health of the sites, right? For example, Google does not like it when you do things like stuff all your keywords on one page. Google does not like it when you have a sentence and you stuff a keyword in there. And when I say stuff a keyword in there, I mean that in the fact that the logic doesn't flow. The keyword should try and flow as naturally in the language as possible. Okay? The keyword should be organic, all right, it should be free flowing and it should fit in within the text. It should fit in within the description, within the title, all of that. Okay. Now, Google isn't super strict on something like that, but it is something that Google doesn't like and it will penalize you for ever so slightly. Something a bit more morally gray is the use of AI in content development, right? Now, to my knowledge, Google does strictly prohibit the usage of purely AI content. Google does not like that. In fact, many of the major corporations, Google, Amazon, YouTube, hates purely AI content. So that's where you have to use it in a more gray hat kind of fashion, where you use it as a resource. Google is fine with you using AI to generate ideas, to get certain pieces of content, even using AI imaging. However, it does not want you to use purely AI work. Okay? And Google can detect that and it will penalize your website. There are plenty of tools, Zero GBT, for example, will detect AI content. It's a really good tool. Really, it's a free tool too. So just be careful of that. And then you also got things like um, buying backlinks. Strictly speaking, buying backlinks is prohibited by Google in general, but also it's something that a lot of people do. There are people who make their entire livelihoods using backlinking, buying backlinks, selling backlinks, building up backlinking profiles. It's just something that is done that Google is aware of and will crack down on if it's too obvious, but in general doesn't do that on the larger scale. Okay, so that's more of a gray hat area. Then we've got the strictly prohibited stuff, like, for example, private blog networks. What are private blog networks? Basically, they're a selection of websites owned by somebody or an organization that are then used to help boost the backlinking profile of a website. For example, you own 10 blogs or 10 websites, and you have somebody pay you to host their links on your page as follows. So, to boost their backlinking profile. This is strictly prohibited by Google. And if your website is found to be using VPNs, it will definitely just create the end tank very, very quickly. I'll use an example of a client that we've had. Um, he was very much somebody who looked to use more gray hat and black hat techniques because they offer the most immediate benefit, right? So here's something you should realize. When you're following Google's guidelines, it's a slow, tedious process sometimes, but the results are guaranteed over time, all right? It's just something that grows organically, grows naturally. It's kind of like doing natural bodybuilding compared to enhanced bodybuilding, steroids, and enhancement drugs. Okay, so in this analogy, this client used a lot of grey hat and black hat techniques, and he saw an immediate rise in his website. However, immediately afterwards, his website slowly started to crater and fall down. In fact, I was doing research earlier and doing a checkup on all the clients, and his website is slowly, his domain, sorry, is slowly fading out of use, fading out of interest. Google is not promoting it as much. No content is really going up there. So the website is severely damaged. The domain itself is considered toxic. And so any backlinks going to or from that website is considered toxic as well. Google doesn't want to associate it with it, and because of that, no other website is going to want to associate with it either. And that website is just going to slowly die off. All right. These black hat and gray hat techniques also often opens you up to malware, especially if you're using specific plugins. All these things like, hey, we'll boost your backlinking profile instantly. Yeah, no, those are dangerous. Please do not do that. And I'm sorry if this is a bit more of a layback video. It's just something that needs to be covered, and it is really a good resource besides me sitting down with a PDF or a spreadsheet and going through everything. So if you do want to, I highly recommend looking at this. You can see there's plenty of documentation here. I recommend reading through all of these if you're getting started off in SEO. They are excellent. Here's what new, update documents, all of these things. So please just take a double look at this if you can. It's really, really, really thorough. Is the best way to put it. And I hope this was insightful. Look, this video is not meant to tell you what to do or what not to do, but to give you a general idea of Google does Google does keep track of everything you do on the internet. And you have to remember that Google has more powerful software and techniques and technologies than we outside of it could ever realistically know. Could some guy out there outsmart Google? Yes, but that is 1 in 10,000, 1 in 100,000. All right. It is very rare that something like that happens. And I just want to make sure that you guys have the best possible path moving forward. If you want to rank effectively on Google, use the white hat techniques, use the proven techniques, and maybe sprinkle in some gray hat here or there. If you want more research, please just do a Google search. There are plenty of lists out there, plenty of sites out there about what is allowed by the Google search engine, what is kind of allowed, and what is definitely not allowed. So please just take a look at that, and I will see you all tomorrow.